They should be on the street poll, survey within 30 days. EMC research outcome.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
could I just ask that you might check in with Sam Pavel and see how that tax piece will go? Just to,
Sure.
just to get to know.
Yes, sir. I have a brief comment question. I want to make sure that we are giving them also about the business license.
The survey will have two questions.
With all those. And the point I made earlier this week, don't want to be a broken record, but it's important to know not just that here's what we're serving up to you, 10 years, half, 7, 3/4, pick one. We really want to know what is the horizon that the voters are interested in. So if we find out, for example, that what will pass is 7 years or 5 years, as much as we may not prefer that, maybe that's not the ideal scenario for a lot of reasons. Nonetheless, knowing what the voters are comfortable with, I think is going to be very important for us to know and put out. And so whether it's after 3/4, the duration, the sunset issue, I think is very important. So my question is, I just want to make sure that there was enough of that in that questionnaire that they were using.
The survey companies been given a latitude, they'll know what the council's initial desires are, so if you've expressed. The purpose of the survey is to determine what the public wants, and so when we get the survey results, that'll be meshed back in the council and public, and you guys make a decision ultimately, which was affordability, that's the purpose of the survey. So it'll be I won't say, I won't call it open-ended, but there's going to be more than one response. I think just ask a simple question, gauge that. And I think you mentioned appropriately the half, 7, and 3/4, and test that also to see how much drop-off is on the sunset issue, for instance, at 5, 7, 10, and maybe 15 years, you can see what the variation of opinion is, trying to gauge tolerance. So that's it. And then the survey firm will be able to, they call it term bar cross-tabulation, so they'll determine, they're able to cross-tabulate people who have opinions with respect to sunsetting, with the duration, with the dollar amount of tax, and they give us some pretty detailed information.
Will we also find out who are likely voters in November 13th election?
Yes, in fact, I mean, they'll do that. Because the sample selection will be roughly 400, and it will be, likely voters, and they'll be able to, they'll be selecting from the pool in an off-presidential year and off-year elections.
And we're also going to find out what kind of message will resonate with the voters.
That we probably cannot do. You can't do push-pull as a city. I don't think that's, I think we discussed in previous council meetings, when the council actually makes a determination to put a measure before the voters, and once the language is determined where that is, that committee will need to be formed, and hopefully that's where the community comes in and supports this measure and determines sort of what I would call, that's where the measure crosses over into a campaign versus public information.
And I just wanted to be sure that on the business license tax, that the agreement was that we were going to use a similar methodology that we use now with any business, that there is a gross receipts formula that we're talking about, so that we're not just throwing out just the idea of a business license tax, but how does it work, what might it cost, those types of things.
Right, so the voter has enough detail to respond intelligently to the question. So I know it's in the data.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to go to item number 3. Let me just make a couple of corrections. How about comment from me? You have a comment on that item number 2? No one else? Okay, Mr. Reynolds, you have 3 minutes, sir.
Yeah, Joseph Ramos, long-time resident of Antioch. I guess I had expected more discussion, but apparently that discussion has happened somewhere else, and I didn't hear about these proposed taxes. So I have some questions, and perhaps somebody has the answers. real property license fee. How much money does the city get from each one of those? Now, of course, obviously, the sales tax would depend on what the rate is, but how much money would the city get from, or estimates, of course, from these different taxes? And the other question that we've talked about before is, can you have one of these forms of tax income and have it dedicated to the police department? A lot of the problem with the last time the sales tax failed is the money goes into the general fund and people don't trust. Promises, people don't trust that that money is going to be used for the police department. And so I don't know if you have these discussions elsewhere, I just don't know about it. But
We did at the previous city council meeting. Mr. Jacobs, you want to take a stab?
Yeah, why don't I suggest, I have Mr. Ramsey's email, why don't I email him the last three council meeting staff reports that detail the sales tax charge committee. You can have the actual chart, so I'll just email him the last three council meeting reports. I've got all that, I'll do that. It'll be Monday before.
Okay, just a couple of comments as we go to item number 3. Just keep in mind, staff is meeting with other cities, such as Pittsburgh. Staff is meeting with the Chamber of Commerce and discussing ideas. Yes, we want to have these community forums so that we can be transparent and hear from the community and get direction from the community on which way we want to go. I agree with keeping the lines of communication open, and we need to continue to do that, going to the community. I don't think it's either or, face-to-face or Facebook, Twitter. I think it's both and so I want to say this. You have a council that's committed to this community. I retired early from my job to commit to this community. Sometimes giving, contacting the police department, contacting staff, asking them for 5, 6 to 10 different things. For example, a complaint we received on El Rey Street about traffic. Police department went out there and wrote about 58 citations in 1 month. These are the type of things that are going on. So I want to let the community know that you have a city council that is committed to this community. I myself am fully committed to this community. And so when I hear comments like this, 4 months the city council has not done anything, that's just not accurate. So, and I know we disagree, and it's okay to disagree, and we can disagree. That's fine. We have different opinions about different things. But please do know that this council is committed to this community, and I am committed to this community. So I want to set the record straight on that. As we go to item 3, we had a community forum on February 28th. And we were talking about the next steps. We had over 100 people in attendance, and many people shared their thoughts on crime prevention strategies, and they gave suggestions of solutions. We had a panel of school board president Joy Lamont, school superintendent Don Gill, the housing authority person, director Bruce Mariasso, Monica Wilson, Chief Cantando, and myself were part of the panel. City council was also present. And from that meeting, 5 key community issues emerged, and these issues are pretty consistent with what the council already stated. Public safety, primarily police services, community beautification, code enforcement, public works type of things, youth services, addressing truancy and student disengagement, economic development, which we've also discussed this evening, and resources. And it's clear that additional funding is needed to address the community's interests. So, and we talked about the November ballot measure and everything. So, City Council is in sync with what, at least the 5 community areas, the key areas of the community talked about on that day. And so So this is a good first step in our strategic planning process. And this is something that I want to do. This is something I believe City Council wanted to do. It is to have a plan. This is why we're here, because we want to have a plan with moving forward. I wanted to do it immediately, but we have 5 city council members and we have a community and we have a Brown Act and we don't have a dictatorship. And so we're here to begin our strategic planning process, and we want to continue to get community feedback on these issues that are important to us. And at this time, we have someone that is assisting us with strategic planning and with visioning. And at this time, I want to introduce the facilitator that is working with us. Her name is Stacy McLaughlin, and I would ask her to come forward and introduce herself, and we welcome her.
Thank you. Where you want? You're
Right there.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, thank you so much. I have had a fantastic couple of days. Touring your city, getting to know your staff, I've talked to some of your citizens. I've met a delightful young man at Enterprise Car Rental, let me tell you. Had a very nice convertible that got to sit in the parking lot all day, and I didn't get to enjoy it much. But I am looking forward to seeing more and more of the community. How are you feeling tonight after this meeting?
Just
Just a little bit crazy down, maybe. So I appreciate the opportunity to come and work with you around a new model with respect to community development, organizational development, and actually leadership within our communities. You have some real foresight in the steps that you're about to take. The first person that got up tonight played right into my hands with respect to the strategic planning process and those brilliant visions and ideas that we have about what's right with us. Councilmember Gary here talked about storytelling. What is your story? If we listen to the dialogue that took place tonight, there's a lot of different stories that are going on within the Antioch community. When I talked about coming here with some of my other clients and with other organizations and so forth, and in our discussions that we've had over the last couple of days, one of the things that I proposed to you was, here's what I heard. Oh, really? You're going to Antioch? You're going to, they really can use some help. Well, you know, every community can use some help. And the difference is that it's not just you. That's the old model. You do not get to just make the decisions in today's world. I heard somebody, I can't remember who it was, talk about the fact that we already know what we want to do. I don't think that's true, because I don't know if you've heard from everybody in your community. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what the process will look like. And I think it's exactly what, did you talk? Yes. You need to hear from us. You need to know what we have to say. And I think that's very important. And there's a lot of opportunity for people to come up here and have public comment. But what is that versus public engagement? When we really ask our citizens, what do you think? What do you want? And the fact is that it's not just your responsibility. It's their responsibility too. This is a community that belongs to everybody. They've chosen you to lead the way and to help set the tone and to set the path. But it belongs to everybody that lives, works, and participates in the Antioch community in some form or another. So here's what we're going to do based on what you've asked of me. We had a meeting, and in that meeting it was, these were the things that were shared with me, that we have fiscal goal setting, and we want to have a budget prioritization process here. We can have lots of visions. Do we have money to take care of those visions? Can we do it? Are they doable? Or are they something that can actually be facilitated within the realm and scope of what fiscally can accomplish? Your council and your community needs to really be serious about what those prioritizations are. What do we really want to do? You have to make some decisions around that. Because your community needs and wants and desires will change with new ideas that come up all the time. So having a breathing, living document, be it a budget or be it a It has to be something that's flexible. The goals that I heard were public safety, economic development, which is clearly the topic of this evening's meeting. Another one was, and I'm going to put this into a different context for you, and that's community vitality and stability, which includes job creation. It includes community cleanup and beautification. It includes fiscal sustainability. Can we continue to do what we're doing for right now? And also another big one was completion of transit projects. And I love that somebody said that we need to make sure that we have the right infrastructure in place for economic development to occur. Economic development belongs in a lot of different areas of the community. The one thing that's important is that we need a safe community in order to have economic development. That clearly has been a priority that's been mentioned by all our citizens. The project outcomes that we'll be looking at will be to have an understanding of what does effective governance and intentional leadership look like. You as the leaders need to know how to lead in a transformational period. You have to have the political will to be able to make those tough and difficult decisions. Is that met there? I think that's one of the questions that's been asked. What is the clear delineation and coordination of what the individual roles will be? What's your role, Mr. Mayor? What's your role, Madam Vice Chair? What's your role as members of the council? What's the city manager's role? What's the staff role? And more important than anything is what do we really want and expect from our community? They want you to be accountable, but it's also the fact that now, in today's world, the citizens are very much an active part of what's going on within the borders of their community. So I'll tell you this. Enhanced community engagement and development of proactive community building processes is absolutely key to any of your success. You have to have credibility and you have to have an image of municipal decision-making with your community members and your other stakeholders. Overall, more proactive direction setting, decision-making, and problem-solving, and the most important one is creating those partnership opportunities with our stakeholders and, more importantly, with our citizens. And I'll tell you why. If you want a comprehensive visioning and strategic planning process that will begin to facilitate a partnership between this local government agency and entity and the community to build a better Antioch, your citizens have to be heard. Fundamentally, at the very heart of many of the arguments that will happen in a transformational change process between the citizens and their government is that they don't get to be heard. So we have scheduled 4 community meetings that will be facilitated as we proceed in different areas of different community portions of Antioch. We will also have focus groups that will be strategically described and set up. Because communicating with your constituents is a very tricky enterprise for elected officials, and especially for municipal staff. You have to find what that secret formula is to decode the interests and decipher the needs of your community. And that is not always easy. Sometimes the loudest voices are the only ones that get to be heard. The processes that we hope to develop for you will allow everybody's voice an opportunity to be heard. It can be an expensive and a formidable enterprise when you get it wrong. So engaging your citizens in the process to create a community vision and implement a strategic approach to realize the community's dreams will help the city of Antioch achieve greater success and hopefully avoid many of those pitfalls that can accompany your policy decisions. Visions need to be large and deep and unmuddled by cynicism. This is a new age. You've been through the fire and you've come through it. It doesn't mean that it's over and that you're still not going to get burned a little bit and it's still not going to be hot weather out there for you. One of the critical things to talk about is leading your organization with the reverence for everybody in this community, all of the voices that need to be heard. There is an array of diverse experience of choices and ideas that come from the people in this community. They have logic and they also have feelings about what needs to happen here. And it's important to understand the value of collaboration and cooperation in accomplishing goals, getting superior results to fulfill that very basic human need and sense of belonging. the citizens have to have the ability and the freedom to share what that path is going to be. So by embarking on the process that you've described to me that you want, there will be that opportunity for your citizens to be heard. And then we'll take that input and they will work with you in partnership to develop what those action plans are. Because the world no longer affords them the privilege of just pointing fingers. It's an opportunity for everybody to start to work together to create the new Antioch that you want to see. I am impressed. I work in a lot of different communities, in a lot of different economic environments. And when I travel through the city, you have light, absolutely. Every city has that. You're recognizing it, you're looking at what can we do to fix it. But you also have some amazing potential. And so finding the opportunity to create the environment to be heard and decide what is that going to look like for us, here we go. The next steps. So the community meeting starts later on this year in the beginning, and we'll start designing what that process looks like from the standpoint of the community leadership that you have at this table here. And those folks that work for you. And then these folks out here that actually care about their community. Do you have any questions?
You know, I was, one of the reasons why I wanted to have you come on, some of your ideas when you talked about the small groups and going out into the community and hearing from the community and meeting with the small groups of individuals, not just some of the 10% that come to the meetings, but also some of the other 90%. That's what attracted me too, because I want to hear from mankind and I want to get out there and hear what they want, how the world's going to
So Mayor, I just wanted to say thank you, Stacy, for engaging and starting the process with us. I am very encouraged to hear tonight a little bit more concrete what we can anticipate as we go forward over the next few months. And what resonated with me was the comment, there's a difference between community engagement and community comment. And, you know, if I take myself out of my role right now, engagement to me means that somebody's willing to listen and I can be a part of it. Not just somebody that's listening, but I can be a part of it in a meaningful sort of way. And that unleashes the power of a lot of different people that have a lot of different talents and have a lot of different passions and are able to be involved and be engaged. I'm excited about that because I know there's a lot of good people in this community that are ready to go. They are queued up, they are ready to go. And we just need to provide a way for that to happen. And I think it does tie into some of the things we actually heard tonight from the community. The difference of, how can you be a part of this? How can you hear our ideas? And I think that is I was going to say something anyway, so I'm glad you brought it up, because I think that hits the nail right on the head about where people are and where they want to be involved. Any one of us, again, stepping out of our roles, putting us in the place of, we live here, we want this to be the best city, how can that happen? We would want to know that we can be engaged.
And just so the public understands, at these community meetings that we have, they're not going to get to talk very much. They're going to get a listen.
Perfect.
Oh, yeah. Stacy, that I just came back from my own workshop, and what they were dealing with is the cafe model, which is what you're talking about. Set up a table, you have certain questions, and everybody has to sit around that table and facilitate, and you get your information that you want to get out.
There's a lot of different processes that I think we'll try to use, and I think it's important, and that's one of the things that I need you for, as far as trying to design and develop that process that will meet the best needs of that individual population group that we're going to go talk to. What's the best way to communicate with them? How do we provoke that wonderful critical thinking that actually is out there to get those ideas and have them have the courage to be able to step up and say what they're thinking and what they want. And it may not be what you think it is. I've been through processes where we thought we were doing the most marvelous, wonderful things, and we paid lots of money to have beautiful, gorgeous plans put up on the wall and ask the citizens to come down and tell us which one one they liked the best, and it was none of them. They didn't want any of that. So this is an opportunity, instead of them coming to you, you're going to them to find out what do we do, what do we want for our
In this case, I also want to thank you for knocking us out as a ministry. One of the things I did advocate is I do appreciate wanting to hear public input. And I base a lot of my decisions on what our citizens request. The only thing is, there isn't a very good mechanism for doing so. And I know we're trying to be proactive now, and I think we are. And I think this is an excellent method of reaching out to our citizens out there. Yeah, it's good that we listen to them more so than have us talk. And, we're considered politicians, and we try to make policy. But, we all live on the other side of the table too. And we all have concerns. And we all have ideas when we were sitting on the other side of the table. And it's good that we hear from these folks because that's how we're going to make this council successful. Or that's how we're going to make the city successful, is to listen to the public. And as the mayor says, we are out there and we are trying to communicate with the public. It's just we can't be everywhere at every time. And we find a way of doing so, a structured way of doing so, with be able for us to learn from the public. I'm for it 100%. So I'm glad that we're doing something like this.
Thank you, Stacy. What resonated with me the most, the phrase, a sense of belonging. Pride in the community, making sure the community is empowered. And that really resonated with me. It's a term we use in the college very frequently. But yes, it's time for the community to feel empowered and feel part of this process. So I thank you for that.
Well, good. Well, I'm glad to hear that. So I really appreciate the opportunity to come and help you with this because I think it's a new age. It's a new age of interaction with our communities. They do not want people on high. They want people who can actually help them solve the problems in their community. And it's important that they realize that they are not a part of the problem. They're a part of the solution. And people have to step up and be a part of it. So, bravo. Bravo to you. And you've done good work, and now you're going to go get some help.
Thank you, Stacey.
I appreciate the opportunity to do this extemporaneously, Mr. Mayor.
Everybody has a story. Like you here, I love the city. I came to East County, moved to Pittsburgh. My kids were born here at Sutter Hospital. I was able to do a tour of the hospital the other day and go to the room area where my kids live. When we moved into our house, it was just about sold already, and they got other offers. But I wrote a letter and let the seller know that I was a dairy instructor, police officer teaching dairy in school, and a minister at my church. And they sold me the house rather than the other. And when I moved into the house, one of my neighbors brought me Ron's cupcakes, and the other one brought us fruit. I love this city. And took my kids out of the private school into the public school system, and they sold. My daughter was student of the year in the middle school, and winning first place in science fairs, best defensive player in volleyball in her high school. And so this is where I'm going to work out. This is where we go to church. So we're fully committed to this community. And like people who love Antioch, we know that Antioch is a jewel. It really is. And so we're going to do everything we can to move this community forward. So I thought I would share that. I don't think I shared that story before. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Okay. Now we have another opportunity for public comments. Okay, Mr. City Manager, very much. Mr. Hoskins.
Perhaps the council sees me as complication, but I'm not trying to do that. I'm trying to make contributions. I've heard all kinds of kudos tonight, and that's fine, and I've heard some pretty heavy-duty criticism. But you see, that's always going to be the case for your city council. I heard some really great things, and I'd like to express that. Thanks for the idea of Facebook. Thanks for opening up communications. I appreciate hearing that, because my emphasis, since I've done it every council meeting, is to broaden your scope. Don't be narrow, wide open, look. I have concerns for some money issues. One of them is if we pay for consultants, when I know in our city there is enough expertise to call upon that it would cost the city a dime, and you need to utilize that expertise and save a few bucks. I'll tell you that I think the most valuable asset in our city is really our waterfront. And I don't know how we can focus or get someone back here to utilize it more. Sure, we talk about taxes and stuff like that, water taxes. But I would suggest that we make a list of what we see as opportunities, and then we start to answer the questions, either how, okay, either what. I didn't hear when. The when that I heard was in controversy that said, do it now. But we've got to move quickly on the hows and the whats. So everyone in this audience and everyone in this city needs to start making input. And in the previous council meeting, I said, open the doors on Facebook, open the door on email, but please, so that you have a constituency that is believing that you're listening, respond. If it's a comment, I read it, thanks, anything, because I don't see that. And it is a necessary evil, as you sit on the council, that you do respond to your constituents. So I just add this, that's been a very, I think, a productive evening. I can't be sure of what we accomplished. But I think if we take more and more input, and we take the ideas and put them together, and bring them together at a meeting like this, and say, hey, here's some input. Now, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? You get more cohesive community and more positive input, and it can be built upon. One thing that I am now, I have to finish with a criticism. I'm very, very disappointed when I came before the council a number of months ago, and I asked you, Mr. Mayor, and all the council members, to write a document that supported the hard house transfer, to write a proclamation. I knew that we were going to get in trouble when it was added to 1900 properties. Sure, it went to finance, but who in the world pays attention unless there is a city cohesively going with a statement and hitting the state, the finance department? I will let you know this, just as a bit of information. Jim Fraser.
Mr. Hoskins, your time is up. Maybe you can send us an email.
Well, I don't know if you know this. I want you to know Jim Fraser, Mark Gonzalez are working on it. Their staff is working on it. I hope we can break this loose. I'd still like to see a proclamation.
Okay,
Thank you.
Staff communications.
A couple things briefly, and thank the staff for making this available. It's a different venue for us. I've heard it about the floor for a moment here. I'm going to go pep talk, because you're in this facility, this is not a new facility. I hope people know this facility. We've got our challenges in the community. We know we nearly went bankrupt. We know redevelopment was eliminated. We've had some problems. And, yeah, there's lots of infrastructure we look. Check this facility out. This is not new. It's in beautiful condition. And on your way out, check out what's next door. And I mean, when you're driving home, check out $1.5 billion worth of money being spent right now in the middle of the community. The only E-bar station that's going to get built in Eastern Carfax County is going to be built here. It's going to be built with a stationary development plan. This is comprehensive plan that I don't want to see that lays out a future for what amounts to a new city center for the next 40 years. This council and the previous councils for the last more than a decade deserve a great deal of credit. There's a lot of really, really good things that happen. And Mayor Freitas mentioned Macy's, 2 clothes stores, Kaiser with 1,400 jobs, the largest employer in the city. Thousands of people every week don't have to go to appointments in Walnut Creek anymore throughout this county. Wells Fargo has a call center here. The housing prices are up 20 to 30% a month, year to date, all this year. Unemployment's down 30% off of the peak where it was. I'm literally getting a call every single day now from developers, both housing and commercial developers. I mean, I'm not exaggerating. Every day I'm getting at least one call. The market is bursting apart. This council specifically has authorized continuous police hiring. That's something we haven't done in 6 years. We're doing that every single day. The annexation is on its way. The ferry service is coming. I can go on and on and on and on. So I mean, we've got our challenges. I know a lot of those challenges. I'm going to hear a lot of them about more challenges, but my goodness, this community has so much to be proud of. This council is new, it's fresh, young members. Very exciting, I think, for me. It's very exciting for the community. We've had one wonderful council since I've been here. And this staff is running 40% vacant. When I come into a facility that looks like this, where the guy who's in charge of recreation is also in charge of code enforcement, also deputy director of community development, and is running this place with basically temps a lot of the time and almost no staff. This is magnificent. I couldn't be prouder of them. And you guys too. This community should be proud of itself. This has been a tough couple of years. And I think things look great. And I think when you look back 5 years from now, every one of us who has a nickel to invest has been sorry we didn't put more into this community. Because it is on its way back. So with that, I'll shut up.
That's awesome. I love that.
He called us young.
Council communications, starting with young Monica. Council member Wilson.
Just saying this is a wonderful evening. Again, I apologize for being late. Circumstances out of my control, but wonderful evening. Great input. Looking forward to working with you, Stacy. Always looking forward to working with my council, and let's move forward.
Yes.
I look forward to the meetings that we might have as to when you're going to set up those, so we can get them out, so people can start putting it on the calendar, because everybody's busy. And I like the idea that we're going around the community, not just one special area. And I think that it's going to be interesting, and I'm sure that we'll be doing it in the second language as well.
Good idea. Gracias.
Gracias. Mr. Jacob, thank you for that positive report, because that's what I'm hearing. You know, things are starting to happen here. The frustration is we're not getting the word out. And so if we can get that happy meeting where we're promoting the city of Antioch and continue to work hard. Yes, we do have a lot of things still, and there's a lot of work to be done. But, yeah, and I am, believe it or not, I'm very proud of the city council, because I think we made a commitment to work together to try to improve the city. And, you know, I've sat through a lot of councils in the audience, and I've seen some very good ones that work together, but I've seen some councils that were at a stereo. And believe it or not, that was the time I had the most fun watching. But the thing is, things weren't getting done. But, you know, every single person that's sat at this table is always had good intentions. They love this city. I will never deny that. We have some different beliefs and philosophies, but every single person that sat on this side truly believe that they have something to offer the city. And I truly believe that this council here has something to offer the city. And if thing is, I think we're going to be able to accomplish a lot of good things, but we need input from the public, a lot of input from the public, because we want to hear from them. Mr. Moore?
Thank you, Mayor Harper. I just really impressed with the quality of people that live in Antioch and that come forward and want to be involved. I don't take anything that was said tonight as criticism. It's born out of passion and love for the city that we live in and for the future that we want to have. So taking in that spirit, we can work together to make that happen. I'm convinced it will happen. My colleagues here, we're all passionate about the same thing. And that is that we love the city and we want to see it be the kind of city as everyone else here in the room tonight does. We want to see the city that it can be, not the city that it is right now, not the city it was, but the city that it can be. So we're going to push forward on that. And I think that the way we engage people and the way that we are openly talking and openly getting involved with folks all throughout Antioch, 103,000 people, a lot of people to talk to. But we can do a better job. We can make sure that we've heard that. And at the end of the day, I want to be able to look back from this moment down the road and say, you know what, those things we were talking about then, that little seed that was planted, look what's growing. And it's not something bad, it's something good. So I'm excited about the possibility for that. And I think we need to make sure that we are all focused on what it is that we can be and not what we're struggling with right now. You know, I'm in real estate. I lost almost all my income the last couple of years. I was down to poverty level when it came to employment and wages. And, you know, it's good to see kind of a little balance in your step. I feel like things are starting to improve. People ask me all the time, Gary, how's the real estate market going? What's going on? You know, last month in February in Antioch, the median price was 38% higher than it was the year before. It's been like that every month. We're not below par. We're above the Bay Area in terms of improvement. So we do have something going on here. People want to move here, they want to live here, and we need to deliver. I think we're going to do that. So that's the direction I think we're excited about. We'll see that.
Okay. Very exciting times, and Antioch has a bright future. And in the words of Cesar Chavez, I would say Cesar Chavez. There you go. And if there's